Yeah, 3477.
Young leaves that the wind blows. Yes, it's spring.
7:35 here at Big 550 KTRS. Dyna Green is my fertilizer of choice. Locally owned, locally produced, made right here for the region. And each week, Chris Irwin from Dyna Green comes in and gives us a couple of helpful hints. Now, it's not a lawn service. You do this yourself.
Right. This is a do-it-yourself project at home. Absolutely.
And it can't be any simpler.
No, you can do it.
I not only can I do it, I am doing it.
Right.
And my neighbors, dare to say, are a little tad jealous. And so I've now got both neighbors on both sides now buying Dyna Green product.
That is fantastic. That's great news.
Because my yard was so green, their yard wasn't green, and they were like, hey, wait a minute, you're sort of embarrassing us. So there you go. I just put down number 2 again.
Good. Absolutely.
So that's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. Absolutely, yes.
So you want a month between applications?
Yeah, a month to 6 weeks between applications. What you're looking for, and some of the helpful hints right now, as you get into May and as you get into June, and there's 2 of them. When you look at your grass and you start seeing the undertone of brown, what that's telling you is your grass is trying to communicate, hey, I'm hungry, please feed me. So it doesn't mean that there's a fungus or a disease or something's wrong. It's just hungry. The second thing is it could be you're not mowing your grass with a sharp enough blade. You have to make sure your blade is sharp so it doesn't fray the top end of the grass, which is going to allow for more disease and water drought and things of that nature.
Interesting. Okay, so you can't necessarily look at a blade of grass and know if you need to sharpen your blade?
Well, you can. You're going to see the jagged ends on the top of the grass blade is what you'll see. So if you see jagged ends, then your blade is not sharp enough.
Okay. You can sharpen your own blade, but you can also take it places,
yeah,
right?
I would take it in. If you're not familiar with how to sharpen your blade, just take it into a lawnmower service, and they'll sharpen it up for you for very cheap.
And they can do it right there. It takes only a couple minutes.
It'll take a couple minutes. And you don't need to take your home mower in. You can just take the blade off and take it in, and they'll sharpen it for you.
Okay. So you might have brown spots in some places and not brown spots in other places, which means just feed the whole lawn.
Yes, feed the whole lawn. You're right. You don't want to spot fertilize here because you want to make sure that the whole grass and the whole yard is getting fertilized with number 2 at this point.
I find myself wanting to put more and more down. Right? You need to be careful. At some point there's a point of no return.
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to fertilize every week or every couple weeks because it's not going to make the lawn. Just like you and I, if we feed ourselves too much, we're going to get sick.
Right.
It's the same thing with your yard and the same thing with the plants. So,
okay. So can we still put down the number 1, or where are we?
You can. We're real close to the end there, and the reason why is because if you have not fertilized anything, you're going to see crabgrass in your yard, and once it gets to the 3 and 4 leaf phase, then it's kind of past the point of return for the crabgrass preventer. Right now, we've seen about the leaf 2 phase, so you can still, because it has pre-emergent characteristics, you can still put the crabgrass down and start through your process.
But if you're following the program and you've put the crabgrass down before, you now move on to step number 2.
That's right. Yeah, we really say by the end of April, getting into May, which is today, you really want to go into step 2 now. And then you have 2 options on step 2. First option is the step 2, long-lasting with UMax, and UMax is a slow-release nitrogen, or you go to the long-lasting with Viper, which is going to be your broadleaf herbicide.
Right. Now, you keep saying that put the Viper down, the number 2 with the Viper, and mow at least 24 hours later.
Yes, you have to make sure with the Viper, that's another key point. Don't mow your grass. We have a nice dew in the mornings right now, so tomorrow morning, get up, put your Viper down, and it'll stick to the leaves and the petals of the weeds. It will then kill that weed from the flower down, and then 24 hours, so Sunday afternoon, you go ahead and mow.
I've got some flowers and some plants. Do I want to put the fertilizer in those plants and flower beds?
No, it won't hurt it, but there's specific. I wouldn't. No, don't do the Viper.
Okay.
Don't do the Viper.
Don't kill them.
But if you're putting step 2 down and you get some in your plant beds, it's not going to
deal.
No harm, no foul at all.
I have a question too.
Go ahead.
When it comes to the grass, how long? How do you know when to mow it?
That's a great question. A lot of people want to mow their grass down to the very small portion that you're seeing, like a ½ inch. They want to mow it as short as they can. They want to look like carpet. The problem is you're not allowing your roots to then sink in the ground and really be strong roots. And what you're doing is you're going to hurt the grass as you get into the warmer seasons of the summer or warmer weather of the summer. So you want to keep it longer so your roots can grow deeper, and they'll have a longer water retention than when the but when the hotter weather comes.
So I got a bunch of clay. I got a new construction home, and I got a lot of clay, and the soil's not very good. You keep saying that this fertilizer that I'm putting down will help loosen up that soil.
Well, so what happens is that this whole process, the step, because you're a year in now.
Right.
So the winterizer and the fall start, all the steps that you've already put in is going to help get that soil ready for the roots to be really strong in there. We talked a little bit about a couple other products that we can use to loosen up that soil. So the fertilizer itself is not loosening up the soil. It's other products that we've talked about, like the Earthright and things of that nature that you can put in to really break up some of that clay.
And we'll be talking about that throughout the year.
We'll be talking about that throughout the year.
All right.
We're a little early for that.
Where do I go and get my Dynagreen, Chris Irwin?
So what you're going to do is you're going to go to www.dynagreeninfo.com, and it'll have a list of all of our dealers here in St. Louis. Great part is we want to welcome 2 new dealers that we signed up over the last couple of weeks.
Great.
You have Terry's Home and Garden over in Centerville, Illinois, and then you have St. Peter's Hardware of Alton in Alton, Illinois. We will actually be at the Alton location, so St. Peter's Hardware this weekend, 10 to 2. They have their bucket sale, which is really cool because you can put a bag of the Dynagreen in their free bucket they're going to give you, and you get 20% off.
Wow, that's a sweet little deal.
So it's a great deal for the folks in Alton.
And Dynagreen is a local company. You guys design this and create the science all for this region and this temperature.
Absolutely. This is actually a new mix this year. So we measure
and
the
you
soil.
tweak the mix every year.
We do, yeah. Sometimes we don't have to because the climate kind of stays the same, but we watch the climate, look at the soil, we test the soil, we look at what is, like you're talking about with a clay-based soil.
Right.
We look to see how much clay is in there. We do various tests throughout the Midwest, certainly monitor the climate, and we tweak the chemistry that's going to go into each of these bags based on the climate changes.
Pretty sweet deal. And then lastly, when you have a spreader, prefer you get a Dynagreen spreader, but you open it up just short of 1/3?
Just a little over 1/3.
A little over 1/3.
Yep, a little over 1/3. So those are the quick tips to help you out. Little over 1/3 on any of the steps that you're going to use. Make sure you have a sharp blade. Make sure you don't mow your grass all the way down to the ground, and you're good to go.
At what mile per hour do you walk with the spreader so you spread it correctly?
Wow.
My
because this is all going through my head as I'm like, don't put too much on, but I totally want to put just enough on. So I'm like, don't walk too slow, don't walk too fast. Don't, and I got the little small one, so I'm like ringing it out.
Right.
So I drive myself crazy.
The good way to look at it is you want to go around the perimeter once to get all around the edges, and then go back and forth. If you're walking too fast, then you can crisscross.
See? But inquiring minds want to know. All right, Dynagreen and Dynagreen info for the lawn and garden dealer near you. And I should tell you that my lawn and garden dealer uses Dynagreen, right? So there's no greater testament to the system than if the person who's selling it to you is using it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I use it. I swear by it. And I have the same thing you have right now, which is my neighbors telling me, how in the world is your grass that deep and lush, dark green?
Yeah, it's great.
And I say, well, I use a different product, and here it is, and show it to them. And we've got our neighborhood doing the same thing.
Dynagreen is dynamite.
It is.
Dynagreeninfo.com. Chris, we'll see you later today.
You got it.
7:43, traffic, weather, sports next, KTRS.